Miley Cyrus is with us now. We are nationwide. Miley, thank you for giving us some of your time. I know you're so busy. We love the vibe you're sending us on Midnight Sky.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you. You know, every time I see a familiar face like you, who I've been coming to visit with my records every single cycle, it makes me feel like there's some normalcy to this year. So I'm happy to be seeing you right now.
Oh, yeah, you too, Miley. We go way back. We go way back to your teenage years. I could be your
Yes.
big sister. I like to be your radio big sister. And before we talk about Midnight Sky, because I love the empowerment that I feel when I listen to it, I wanted to know, first of all, I wanted to say I'm sorry about Mammy. I
Thank you. I
had
know you met Mammy.
I met Mammy multiple times on red carpets with your dad, with your mom. Just Mammy was always around, and I feel your loss. I lost my mom not too long ago, and she sends me sorry to cry.
Oh
She
no,
sends
it's
me messages
okay.
all the time, and I'm
So does
wondering,
Mammy.
well, what are they? Because my mom, this is my first like snot rag after I found out she passed, and it kind of formed an angel shape, and I see them everywhere. And so I'm like,
So
Miley, what are you getting from Mammy?
I wasn't able to visit her because of the virus. We couldn't actually get to her senior living. I don't know if that was a similar situation where it had been so long. So I felt like it just it really hit in a different time because she was experiencing a lot of anxiety, as everybody is, but she was in her senior living alone, so I wasn't able to visit her, which, you know, she was such a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And I know everyone has their differences to how they feel about this when people pass, them still having a presence, but I definitely believe in it more than ever. So we created like a Mammy shrine at the front of my mom's, like when my mom was devastated. She created like right when you walked in her house, she just put, she was getting so many flowers. So as soon as you walked in, we just had flowers everywhere. And my grandma loved flowers.
Oh, wow.
And everything was totally normal. All the lights were totally normal in the house, but the light above the table where all the flowers are just turns itself on and off now.
No way.
Yeah,
She's there. She's
I,
present.
I was sitting there talking to my mom, and she's like, "Did you turn the light off?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "It's off right now." And like, I know it's Mammy knowing that I'm okay sitting here with you and that I'm not alone. And then as I started to walk out of the kitchen to leave, my mom, I hear her scream, and the light turned back on.
Oh my
As soon as
God.
I was getting ready to leave, I have chills. So it was like Mammy was going to be there if my mom was going to be alone, and it was just really cool.
Oh,
And it's
that
still
is
happening. It's still happening.
that is so well. It will continue because it's been almost a little over a year for me, and it's everywhere. Like Miley, it even gets stronger
What
because
way?
I think this is what I believe. I believe that their spirit, their soul, they're almost like, okay, how much can you take? And
Yeah.
then you feel more and more the more you open yourself up to it. But you're very open to it, and it's happening. And please hug your mama for me. I know how
I
hard it
will.
is. Yeah.
I absolutely
Aw.
will.
Yeah. So tell me about Midnight Sky. It is such a beautiful, vibey, empowering, Miley-esque piece of work.
Well, you know, a piece of work is exactly what it is and
It's
exactly
a
what
piece
I
of work.
am. It's a piece of work. That sums it up perfectly. I think that our attachment, I mean, it actually is perfect from our conversation we just had. We are so attached to the idea of forever. And it
Yeah.
feels like such a loss and such a fail when that doesn't get seen through, and there really is no such thing. It's kind of setting yourself up for this disappointment or the stigma, especially around relationships when they are over, that it's that
Mhm.
you equate it to a failure. But why can't it be an achievement that you achieved feeling something for someone in like this great, I mean, love is like the greatest gift that we have. And when you get to share that with someone, and then when it's over, rather than looking at what it was with like, honoring it and still considering it precious, just because it's over doesn't mean that it's not still super valuable and hold a place in your heart and in your space forever. Just like when we
Yeah.
lose someone, whether it's physically, emotionally, I think the attachment to forever sets us up for a lot of anxiety and fear.
Yeah.
And so I think from even being small kids, we're taught this is your best friend forever. And
Mhm.
it's like how many of those relationships actually stay, and it makes you just it gave me a lot of anxiety. And so that's really when I started writing Midnight Sky, it was an idea of the past 2 years of that story being told for me through the media of my breakup, of losing my house. You know, my story of loss was told for me, and it was just regaining the power of the story and the narrative and telling it for myself. But I always felt it was kind of below me and below my relationship to talk back to the press. So I wanted to do it in a form of art. So it's purposeful and it's deliberate and written in a way that I feel proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just love the sound.
I love the sound too. It's such a calming sound for the powerful message that it's sending. And you know, Miley, you are one person, you know, one famous person in my life that I've known that I know that I'd never ever have to worry about you. You have such inner strength, and I think your parents probably feel the same way, that you'll always be okay. You'll always take care of yourself and find your way and find your happiness, because you know, I think people forget really how young you are and how much you've done in in your short life you've lived so far. You've lived a very full, rich life with a lot of experiences, but yet you've handled it all with such grace and maturity.
And I lose myself in that idea too. I mean, sometimes I put so much pressure on myself and forget too that like how much I've actually accomplished, how much that I've done, and how many versions of myself that I've kind of like lived through.
Yeah.
And I just feel a real sense of like pride for coming onto the other side, because I know how lucky I am to have like kind of made it through some of the traumatic experiences and been able to turn it into something that I wouldn't trade because of the lessons that I've ended up coming out with. You know, I feel so much stronger. And they're
Uh-huh.
just such a crucial part of growing up, is like going through loss and building yourself back up again. Which is why I used the disco ball, because I thought the
Yeah,
disco
tell me
ball
about it.
is the disco ball is a representation of just brokenness that when put back into its entirety is so mesmerizing, because really
Yeah.
when you're out and you see these disco balls, you're totally drawn to it by its beauty, and it's so like wonderful and attractive, but really it's just a bunch of broken pieces made whole. And that's really what I think kind of was a representation of me and like my spirit and my idea of self. And that's why the disco ball, I felt, was just a reflection of where I'm at.
What a gorgeous metaphor. What a gorgeous message too.
And we're feeling that this year. I think all of us are going to come out,
Yeah.
you know, like disco balls right now. It's like we've gone through something that we don't know that other generations will experience or can relate
Mm-hmm.
to. I think that's why journaling is really important right now. Like your experience, my experience, everyone's
Yeah.
experiences are really important to write down, because they're a piece of history. And people will ask us about this for a long time, what it was like
Mm-hmm.
living in this time that we're all experiencing together, and everyone's relationship with this time that we're having in 2020 is so unique that every person's perspective needs to kind of be pinned and noted, because they're all very special and will be a part of history.
Totally, totally. And it's a great thing to not only have, you know, your journaling, but also your music to represent the time of your life, to be able to share with generations to come. Like when one day when you're a mammy, you know, and
Mm.
you've got your Miley, if that happens, then there it is.
I know. I always think about that. I'm like, you know, there's so many amazing images too. I think now of seeing some of like whether it's Gaga at the VMAs in the mask, or Lana Del Rey just
Yeah.
did the cover of Interview magazine in the mask. And I kind of sometimes I'm like, you know, I like entertainment to be escapism. So in a way, you know, I haven't really kind of played into that. I've been wanting to create the fact that I'm so weird and the weirdness is continuing makes people feel like things are normal. So I feel like that's my job. To be like, all right, Miley's sitting in a totally obnoxiously massive, surreal chair. She's doing weird stuff. That means things aren't that off. You know, she's
It's
naked,
true.
covered in gumballs. She's swinging around on a disco ball.
Everything is
Is
okay.
everything's normal. But we see these iconic people wearing these masks and knowing how important it is. It's a piece of history. These images are
Yeah.
going to be really moving once we get past this, because of the, you know, tireless kind of dedicated efforts that everyone's putting in to get us a vaccine so we can all be back together again. But it's a piece of
Yeah.
history. We're living through a really critical time, and obviously with the election coming up, can't stress how important it is to vote.
Yeah, right. Oh my
Yes.
God, totally. The clock is ticking on voting, so we got to get, you know, ramped
Yeah.
up for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Miley, well, thank you. I know I think our Zoom is running low. It's running out.
Thank you very much.
I
I'm
hate to
sorry.
leave you. I
I'm
hate to
sorry
go.
about your mama too, and I'm happy that
Oh,
she's with you. And I'll let my mom know you say hi.
yeah, please
I'll
do, and your
tell her it
daddy
gets
too.
better. She's gonna be happy about that.
It does get better. It does get better. She'll embrace, and it will be. She'll be fine, just like you, Miley.
I
Love
will.
you.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.